How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we're going to have another deck profile. We're coming straight out of Namek to give you a deck profile on Yellow Piccolo from the set 17. So this one is a brand new leader from the set 17, the latest set currently out, the Ultimate Squad, and is one of my favourite leaders and favourite characters from the Dragon Ball series, because Piccolo is one of my favourite characters from Dragon Ball. And we're finally getting a good Piccolo leader, and this card is very, well, I say very generic. Like, it does require a lot of like Namekian base and Namekian tech in the deck to be able to function better, but it is like very good for what like the skills offer. And it's one of those leaders where what it is focused on Namekians, like it focuses on Archetype, is it basically gets stronger the more Namekians we get. So we have some good Namekians to make it decent at the moment. But as we get more and more sets and more, potentially more Namekian support, this leader will just be amazing, and just a lot stronger as we go on, because it's got very strong skills. But before we get into the video, feel free to like the video if you enjoy it. Comment down below if you have anything to comment. Like it could be like asking about what kind, like the reason behind tech choices I didn't go over them like fully, or advising, because it'd be nice to like hear, because I haven't seen everything and thought of everything. It'd be nice to help like pull together, try and make this leader as best it can be. And lastly, feel free to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. It keeps you updated with my videos as when they drop, especially if you click the notification bell, you get alerts as and when they do drop as well. And also it helps me get to my goal of 1,000 subs. We're currently over a third of the way there, and every 100 subs I do get, which the next one come up is 400 very soon, I do a giveaway, so I'll be doing that soon, hopefully. And also as well, if I get to my 1,000 subs goal, then I'll be doing something special at that point, but I'll detail that as we get closer to it, because we're still not even halfway there. And that is the little intro. Now let's go into the deck profile. So with this Piccolo, Yellow Piccolo leader, like it's nice that we finally have another good yellow, like a, well, not yellow, but a good Piccolo leader, because the last one we had was the multicolor one back before the Unison War block, which is a good while before even COVID. A good while, like 2-3 years, and we finally get another good one, and it's very strong, very nice, and in a nice color yellow, which has got a lot of good tech stuff as well. So with the leader, let's go over it a little bit. So on the unawakened side, so the front side, it has an auto where we place one Namekian card from under this card as a cost, and then when it attacks, you draw a card. Then look up to 5 cards on top of your deck, add up to 1 green or yellow Namekian card among them to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So that is fantastic, and this is why we need quite a few Namekians, because the cost for the auto is on the same on the awakened side as well. It's the same cost where you need to put a Namekian card from your hand underneath the leader to trigger the auto. But this is nice because you put that card underneath it, then you replace the card by drawing a card, then you look at the top 5 cards to look for a green or yellow Namekian, and this is a mainly yellow deck. Like the only green really is one of the Piccolos, because it's an option for when he evolves, and outside that it's mainly yellow apart from some of the black cards that support it. But it's very good, like, so you got a nice bit of searching for your Namekians, so you get like, there's one you want to try and search, and this really helps the searching as well, which you'll see in a bit. And then with its awaken, it's when your life's at 4 or less, or if there are 2 or more cards underneath this card, so just 2 attacks to trigger that. You draw a card, untap 1, and then you add cards from your life to your hand until you have 5 left at least, and then flip this card over. So that is really, really nice. Like, it's nice to see. It's nice for when cards have a alternate awakening on their awaken. So this means that if you're being stalled out and not being attacked at your lead, literally all you need to do is swing twice, and then you have that option to awaken anytime you want. And it's a nice awakening because it's just the mid-range one. Well, draw 1, untap 1. And the fact it gives down to 5 life is really perfect, because if you want to try out the Guru Super Combo from Fiend Booster 3, that is live as soon as you get into 5 life, and also the Token Negate is live from when you're at 5 life, so that's a great way to negate an attack after that and get straight down to 4, so your Super Combos are live. And then when you do flip over, you are now Piccolo Supreme Power. You now gain the God trait as well, so before it was just a Namekian in the special trait, and now it's a Namekian/God. And you also gain a permanent where, when placing cards under other cards to pay for skill costs for your Namekian Union Absorb skills, you can use cards from this leader instead. So that is great. So it means that it's like, well, there's another skill in there as well we're going over in a sec, that make it so the cards you're putting under your lead aren't just gone to waste and just put under there and not used. They actually have a use after that, and that's a nice way where where you got, like with the Union Absorb, you've got to absorb another Namekian from your hand or board to go and like go up and go into a higher Namekian. You can, rather than use a card from your hand or on your board, you can just use one of the cards that you place on your leader, which is fantastic. So that can mitigate the cost a little bit there. And then the auto for this side is the same cost, where when you place one Namekian card from your hand under this card. When this card attacks, you draw 2 cards. That's great. Now instead of just drawing when searching, you're now just straight up drawing 2 cards, so no more whiffing, no more missing. You're just swinging, putting one under, and drawing 2 cards. And you also have Activate Battle, which is once per turn. You place 1 card under this card in its owner's drop area, and this card gains 5k power for the battle. So that's a nice way to just either player's turn, get that extra 5k whenever you need it for free by detaching one from under your lead, which is really nice. Is something that not many leaders have, and it's just nice. Like, once again, another way to make use of the cards underneath it if you don't want to focus on the Union Absorb. But as for the leader, so very strong, very generic outside of the need for some Namekians, and very nice skills for this as well. And then as we get into the deck, so the first one, like most of the time when anybody thinks yellow and Namekian, they're gonna think Slug, of course. So we've got 3 of the 1-drop Lord Slug Evil Invader, and 4 of the 3-drop Lord Slug Super Namekian. So the Super Namekian, I reckon most people know what this does. It just shuts off the draw in your opponent's deck while it's in rest mode, and you have another battle card on your board. And the Lord Slug 1-drop is the one that helps get it out for cheaper than paying free energy for it. So, and we play the 3-1 split because Lord Slug Evil Invader is very searchable. Not just like, they're both searchable from the leader, of course, on the front side, but Lord Slug Evil Invader is searchable by things like Assimilated, or Assimilate, which is a yellow extra card that we're seeing a bit that allows you to search for Namekian, like 2 cost or less Namekians, and Lord Slug Super Namekian can even play it from the deck using his Activate main. So with Lord Slug Evil Invader is a cantrip, because it's also when it's played, it's draw a card. That's basically what a cantrip means. It's just a card that replaces itself when it's played, and just pay a little bit of energy to gain a draw. And it's got an Activate main, which is how we play out the Lord Super Namekian cheaper, because once per turn by paying 1 yellow, so it costs 2 until they play it out, which, as you agree, is cheaper than paying 3 for it. You choose 1 or 2 effects, and the one that plays it out is the first one, where you choose 1 Lord Slug's choose up to 1 Slug's Army card with a original energy cost of 3 or less in your hand, play it, and place this card in its owner's drop area. So you sacrifice the 1-drop, play a 3-drop, but that's a fair trade. And the other skill that could become in handy, but you mainly use the first one, is you choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards, which is the rest mode. So this is handy if you want to trigger things like booting the play, or just resting down so you can attack into it. And in the 3-drop Lord Slug, as I said, it's got that permanent, which is Bond 2. When this card is in rest mode, your opponent can't add cards from the deck to their hand using non-leader card skills. That shuts off all the draw for your opponent outside their leader cards while it's on the board, and you've got another battle card in play. And it's hard to remove because it has barrier, but you can only keep 1 on the board because it has unique as well. And as I said, this card can play the 1-drop from the deck with its Activate main by paying 1 yellow. If your leader card is yellow or a Slug's Army card, and you discard this card from your hand, you play up to 1 Slug's Army card with entry cost of 1 from your deck and shuffle your deck. So if you've got 2 3-drops in hand, you normally want to keep those because you can just discard 1 by paying 1 energy to play the 1-drop, draw a card, and then pay that 1 energy to play out the other 3-drop from your hand, and also deck fin quite a little bit as well. So that's why we play those. And then we go on to the other Namekians. I am playing the Union Absorb stuff because there's another card that is just so good to go, especially when partnered with Lord Slug Super Namekian. And we got 2 1-drops. We got both of the 1-drop Piccolos from the set in yellow, being Piccolo's Fusion Resolve and Piccolo Ready Fuse. They have a similar Union Absorb, and they both are like cantrips. We got one being the Piccolo Fusion Resolve is also as when it's played draw 1 card, so more draw, and the other one, Piccolo Ready Fuse, is a searcher, because when it's played you look up to 5 cards from the top of your deck, add up to 1 yellow Namekian card among them to your hand and shuffle your deck. So nice little searcher. Normally you're going to be playing the Piccolo Fusion Resolves because it's the better Union Absorb skill, and it just draws when played. And the Piccolo Ready Fuse is going to be, does come in helpful in some situations, but it's mainly going to be either like for energy fodder, like charge for energy, or leader fodder. So with Piccolo Fusion Resolve, they while the Union Orb is similar, they both have some differences. So with Piccolo Fusion Resolve, it's Union Orb once per turn by paying 2 energy, so while the other one costs 1. If your leader card is a Namekian and you have 3 or more energy, and you choose one Namekian card in your hand or battle area and place it under this card, that's the cost. So this one, unlike the other, has the energy requirement, meaning you need to have at least 3 energy to play it, to use it, and costs 2 energy as well. And this one, you play up to 1 green Piccolo card with energy cost of 4 from your deck or hand on top of this card, and shuffle your deck if you look through it. So it's specifically got to be a green Piccolo card with energy cost of 4. There's no leeway, it's just got to be that specific cost and colour. But that's great though, because the card we'll be playing with it is Piccolo Assimilability. Now this is a fantastic one, because just like Lord Slug Super Namekian, it has barrier, so it has that nice protection. And it's got a very strong skill where activate battle once per turn, bond 2, so just like Slug, needs a never card with it on board to trigger. You choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 5 or less and KO it. And if you do KO it, you draw a card. So not only popping something on your opponent's board, clearing their board and managing it, you're also drawing cards to keep the advantage going as well. And this is why this deck draws so much, because most everything is drawing when it's played or doing or something like that, and you're just drawing a ton of cards. And then with Piccolo ready to fuse, and also we play a 4 cost of Piccolo Assimilability as well, because it's just too good not to play even 4. Like in the event I wasn't playing 4/4, like this is the list after testing I got to looking at and feeling this is probably it. But before that I was playing only 3 of these and 4 of the, no not 4, 2 of the other one that was barrier removal, but the barrier removal guy never came up and I always wanted to look for this, so I decided to ditch those 2 and up this to a 4/4 copies. And then with Piccolo ready to fuse, his Union Absorb skill is once per turn 1 energy, so there's 1 less energy for that. If your leader card is a Namekian card and you choose one Namekian card in your hand or battle area and place it under this card, you play up to 1 yellow Piccolo card with energy cost of 3 from your deck or hand on top of this card and shuffle your deck if you look through it. So the difference between it is one of them costs 2 and requires you to be at 3 or more energy, whereas the other one requires 1 energy and has no energy restriction, and the one that costs more plays a 4-drop green Piccolo, whereas this one pays a 3-drop yellow Piccolo. And the target we've got for this is the one that comes in a set, not the old skillless one or any of the old ones. We go for the Piccolo with Nail's Might, and this is a handy one because he also has a evolve skill, so if you don't want to pay him for that, you can still pay him for cheap as well, with the same amount you would pay for the 1-drop, and that is 2 energy on top of a Piccolo or Nail, so that's another cheaper way to bring it out. And this is normally our extra removal as well, where you can remove more than just 1 card, unlike Piccolo, a similar ability, because his effect, his first auto, is when this card is played or attacked, and it's not once per turn either, you choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and rest mode and KO it. So there's no restriction on the cost of the card. It's just if you got when you play it or attack with it, if your opponent's got something in a battle card in rest mode that doesn't have barrier, you pop it. So it's great, and it's 20k, meaning it's not as easy to remove if it's a 15k as well. Like a lot of these things are 20k. And it's also got a nice ulti that could come in handy. Sometimes does, sometimes doesn't, but it's just nice to have it there. Is if it's your opponent's turn, when this card is used in a combo from your hand, you can choose up to 1 Namekian card in your battle area and switch to active mode. So like I say, if you swing with a Piccolo or similar ability because you want to attack with it, and your opponent's trying to attack into it to get rid of it, you can combo this to try and help combo out of it, and then restand it so they can no longer attack into it because it'd be in active mode. So those are all the Namekians. Like I felt like this amount was enough. Like if you go for too many, you just flood yourself with Namekians, and you also want ever slots for ever cards as well. And like with this yellow, you're gonna want extra cards to help use things like Mecha Riposte and stuff like that. So you do, like I feel this amount was enough, and these all function really well. Either they're useful in some, like useful in the most of the situations, or are at the least fodder for your leader's ability to put under and draw and search and stuff. So, getting out of the Namekians, we now have the good yellow support for this deck. We have 4 copies of Robotic Riposte. It's just too good not to play, and it's very easy in this deck as well, with extra cards like for the Assimilate, as we said, to get this down to reduce the cost. I'm not going to over skills because most people understand what this does and how, like, why it's so good. But if you're new and you don't understand, then you can always read the skills by going down to the description below. looking for the deck planet link in the description and checking out there. And then we have 2 copies of Caller, because sometimes you want to push through your plays, if most of the time you're going to be wanting to try and finish through your leader card swing for a good reason, which we'll go in a bit. And this is a nice way to push. And you're not going to be. This isn't like a very aggressive deck. It's more like a controlling deck to just win by amassing a better advantage than your opponent. And Caller is a great way to just stop and negate, while also potentially drawing at least 1 or 2 cards, which is quite nice. You give yourself another 15k attacker. And we have 2, because where this deck draws so much through your deck, you're going to be able to find at least 1 drawing through your deck. And next we have 2 Basal Fatal Rampage. Now I wasn't running this in the list when I was playing it the other day, but after looking to it, I wanted to put it into the main, but I couldn't find space, and I was playing things like Steadfast to help support it. But the only thing is, I found Steadfast wasn't that helpful, because you got enough kind of things to defend the shot for your opponent that Steadfast wasn't useful, and you wanted to keep the energy up for things like Mecha instead. And Basal is just really nice. Just once again, all your 1-drops, when they're played, they draw a card, or like search to get you advantage in some way to replace himself. And being a nice 19k attacker most of the time, it's really nice to make sure you can have pressure on extra as well for 1 energy. And then super combo wise, we're playing 3 Krillin super combo and 1 Zamasu. I feel like this is a nice split, because Krillin is just nice to be able to put your if you draw your simulated abilities, put them back in the deck, so you can then play them from the deck when you do your Piccolo Fusion Resolve. A nice way to do that, and just put back cards that you're dead or you don't want, or you want back in your deck that you want to play from your deck, is really nice. Or just even then, just being like one of the best super combos, like the best line of super combos in the game at the moment for any color that's going mono. And Smash is just a nice one to, if you can't get down to 4 life, say your opponent's not attacking you and you can't, or you don't get the token negate, you want to use this to help help mitigate aggro decks, just be able to combat with 1 attack and rest something else. And this also helps trigger the next card being Poutine, which we play 2 copies of. So like with this, we got Poutine to help. Poutine's a nice one to basically help mitigate aggro, and also if your opponent is defending with negates when they attack, you can rest other stuff. So you can pop up with, say, like Piccolo, Nails, Might, or other cards, or attack into them, which is quite handy as well. Like this card should be really banned, like the copies that they have for the other colors, like the one for green and one for red will banned, because like they're free playing what they do, and this should be in the league with that really. But while Bandai is waiting to figure out if they do want to hit it, every yellow deck's going to really want to play it, so we're playing 2 copies. Then we're going for next our overall choice being Mirror Assault from the Sky. Like there are some, like, since we got the hit to the more generic ones being Secret Identity and Fighting Against Fate, like everybody's been thinking about what they want to put in for an overwhelm. Like a lot of people will be going for a mana emission, but the issue with mana emission is early game it's good to overwhelm and then put pressure on, would be in double strike crit, but it's not a good late gamer because it's only 20k, and what does have double strike, 20k double strike isn't great when you can get, like, it's not great for when you want to finish. And there also is the Faint Greeting Vegeta, which is nice, being a 30k a more helpful finisher, being a free cost, like a free to play by just overwhelming 6. 30k that makes your opponent warp a card from the hand is quite handy, but then like still it doesn't have the double strike, which is mainly like how you want to finish. You don't want to put them down to 1 life. You want to make it so they have less resources as possible. And so I've gone for Mirror Assault from the Skies because when it's a 30k double strike, which is very handy, it costs 1 energy, sure, like 7 overwhelm. I overwhelm 7 and 1 energy, but the good thing is it makes up for that, because also when you play this card, you draw 1, and then at the start of your opponent's main phase, choose 1 of your energy and switch to active mode. So while you're paying that 1 energy, you're getting it back during your next turn if you don't kill them to help defend, and that's great to have that energy open for a mecha or a post or something like that. And being a 30k double strike is a nice way to finish off as well. And in our secret rare of choice, I've gone for the Kai because yellow has very limited ways, like, well, barely any way really, to deal with unisons. Like, we did have Power Super Saiyan, so if they attack without they attack with anything that isn't a unison at you, you can then rest a unison while drawing a card, which is nice, but that's been limited to 1, and outside that there's not much to deal with unisons really for yellow. Like, you got green, that's normally, like, red could be aggressive and just run into them, green can take markers off, and blue can just well, not really, like, there isn't much unison like hate in the game at the moment, which hopefully changes with the next set. But Kai is a great one because we even have that GT deck as well, which accumulates tons of markers on its unison, and it's just a nice one. So if they attack with, like with yellow as well, there's that situation where people wonder if they don't attack with the leader, they can get some mouse suit. If they attack with the leader, they can get Nimbus. So people are normally like considering like very unsure of how they're going to attack, how they're going to sequence their turn against yellow, because they can either get Nimbus or Samasu, depending on what they attack with. And this is never a nice thing where if they attack with a battle card first, you can drop the Kai, stop their unison leader card from attacking, and have it on board to then wipe their board after, including the unison. That is all the battle cards for the decks. That is the main deck of battle cards, and we have 5 slots for different kind of extra cards we play. And the first one is the great one that is really nice in there, is Assimilate. So this is the one we play 3 copies of because it's a nice searcher, so it means that all your 1 drops, so your 11 targets, all are searchable for that, and it's just, we want to make sure we've got enough searches for the Lord Slug Evil Invader, because of the fact that that is our main thing. You want to get up as early as possible, is getting that slug out, because that slug is so crucial to shutting off your opponent's advantage while you keep gaining loads. And is an extra card that's easy to play to help deck fin, and also trigger mecha as well. And then we have the weight on one soldier's shoulders. So this is like a champer for the deck, but so you could have champer like this. It's the same thing. It is one cost. It's a card that costs 1 to give double strike to something, like champer does. But difference being, this is an extra card, so you can charge it if need be to help for mecha, have it for mecha, use defensively, or use to finish off. And you're not really going to be finishing off, like if you're going to finish off with a Kai, you're going to be normally putting a lot of pressure in, but that's more there to wipe your opponent's board. Mirror's already got double strike, and yeah, normally outside that you normally be finish off with your leader, which just really helps on your leader. Because what this does is a 0 cost extra card. It has 2 activate battles. The first one is it's got 1 for during your turn, 1 to your opponent's turn. To activate battle for your opponent's turn, it's choose up to 1 of your meching cards in your battle area. Switch to active mode and it gets 1k power for the battle, so you can help out combo and protect your summon ability if you attack with it. They attack, opponent attacks into it. Help that out combo because 1k can make a difference as well. And switch to active mode so it's then unable to be attacked into again. And it's ever activate battles by paying 1 yellow if it's your turn. Choose up to 1 of your meching cards, and meching cards, not meching battle cards or anything like that, meching cards. And for each meching card under it, it gets 5k power up to a maximum of 15k. And double strike for the battle. So this is really good, where you can basically just go, like you can get free, like you can stack with your leader where it's got 2 in there. The auto triggers to put another card on individual 2, and then that means it gives you free, and you can play this to have a 15k double strike boost to your lead. And you can just drop multiple of, like with this, and the next card we're going to be, well, one of the next extra cards we're going to be putting up. Like if you have a lot of like enough energy up, and your opponent's got 2 life, you can swing your lead and put in like a ton of pressure, like so much pressure with your lead as well, which is fantastic. And we play 3 because sometimes I felt like I wanted to charge 1, and if I charged 1 and only had 2, I only had 1 left in the deck trying to look through, which I could find. But then if the attack got negated or anything like that, it's just like I just want to make sure I had more, so I can add more to it, or have more, like, because you can also attack with the Assimilate ability and do the same thing, because that gets cards under it to at least be at the minimum a 10k double strike for that. And also has barrier, so it's hard to deal with when attacking, but not as great as the leader. Then we've got a Power Soothsaying card. This is limited for a reason, so we're going to put it in there, and it's just a very strong yellow extra card, so we played a 1 copy. Then we have 2 Final Flash, because every deck needs some kind of barrier removal or disruption, and Final Flash is a great one because you just basically carry on as normal and just use it on, like, use it to give a boost to one of your cards, and then choose whatever card has barrier that's giving you trouble, and just shut its skills off, so you don't have to, like, you basically just ignore it. So unlike most other decks which they have barrier removal, yellow just has barrier ignorance, where they just ignore whatever the card has barriers by just shutting it down and not caring. And it's just very, very good. And since we don't play unisons, it doesn't it doesn't really matter about it can't work on a unison because we don't have any of them. And then the last card we've got is 3 copies of Freezer Army Reinforcements, because as I said, when you awaken, you go down to 5, so this is a nice way to just, for any other attack going to something you want to protect, you can freeze army reinforcements after the awakening, which puts you down to 4, so your Krillins are now alive to do their thing. You have a token in the blocker, and you can protect. Like these, being able to stop potentially 2 attacks is fantastic. Being able to negate 1 attack, then have a blocker for the next one is too good to pass up on. Why they've power crept massively most of the sparking negates outside of D magic and after image. And that's it for the main deck. So that is a full 50 as well, because we don't want to go over too much. Like you can up a few cards if you want to, but I like to keep my consistency at 50 to make sure I can draw what I want, what I try and draw. But you can add it up because this deck just this deck does draw a ton of cards. So that is it for the main deck. And I do have a side deck I put together as well. So you can change this however you want if you want to, but I felt like these cards were quite helpful. Like some of them I did have, not all of them I did. Some of them I figured out after testing would be handy. So going from the start, like from the left to the right, we've got Chi-Chi. So Chi-Chi is one of those blue card negates, where it's a cantrip with barrier, and its overall tool is once per turn when your opponent switches their energy to active mode using a counter skill, so mainly hit against D magic. Place up to 1 of your opponent's life and 1 card in your opponent's energy in the drop area. So not like this is nice because it's then a barrier 1 drop to go with your slug to help make it the slug live. Same with assimilate, but also putting a pressure on anybody that wants any blue that wants you D magic. They're going to be wary if they want to untap the energy. Then we've got 1 copy of Son Gohan and Fidel Power Couple. This is a nice one to deal with weenie barrier removal, because sometimes you get those decks which have like 5 cost 1 drop that have barrier to help with their strategy, and it's a way to remove them, which is because it's got an activate main for 1 energy for 1 yellow. If your leader card is yellow and you place this card from your hand in your drop area, you draw 1, so you replace it in your hand, which is nice, and then you choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and you get minus 5k power for the turn. So you hit 2 things, which is nice because you can get rid of that 1 drop 5k battle card they have that has barrier, and then even minus 5k something else for barrier, so you can attack into it a lot easier. So it's just a nice one. It's not searchable, but it's mainly for those specific matchups when you want to deal with their 1 cost 5k barrier card that you want to get rid of to help the strategy. Then we have 3 copies of Piccolo Demonic Transformation. Now this is a handy one because we're getting more decks to have a union-centric strategy or have a very strong unison that can help annoy you. Specifically for me, I found it was Yellow Goku with the 3-drop Gohan unison. This is a very nice one where it's counterplay. If your leader card is mono yellow, which it is, you play this card. Then if the card being played, no, it says card, not battle card or anything like that. It just says card being played has an energy cost of 4 or less. It's played with its skills negated for the turn. So if your opponent just plays free to play that Gohan, you just go nope. You just can't play with this. It still comes in, but it comes in with no skills at all. So it doesn't get like things like Empower, doesn't get to use its auto or anything like that, or even use any marker skills for the turn. And during your opponent's turn, it's got a permanent where, yeah, as I said, during your opponent's turn, you reduce the energy cost of this card in my hand, so it's a 2 cost during your opponent's turn, not 3. And it's a mechanism, so if it's not useful, if you never find use, so they play around it, it's at least leader fodder to draw cards and stuff like that. I just thought this is a very handy card to deal with unisons, because as I said, yellow hasn't got many things to deal with unisons. And then we've got Hellfighter 17 and Neutralizer. This is a never counterplay card, and once again, another one that has a permanent where during your opponent's turn is reduced by 1. But this is one of the more shut off cards that they don't do anything when they're dropped, but are just really annoying and very strong to that can hinder you. Like say like Kai itself, like Kai, or like mainly I've put in for the U7 Secret Rare, the Vegeta SSB, because it's got an auto when you play this card, or it's placed in its drop area by from a battle area by a skill. You choose it to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and negate its skills for a duration of the turn. So this is more just to, if your opponent just goes straight to 4 energy and drops a Vegeta and you've got 2 energy open, you can just counterplay with this, and then when it's played, choose the Vegeta, and it has no skills for the turn, so it can't just wipe your board, and then your next turn remove it. It can be stopped from coming out by if someone plays smart to get the Vegeta resolve from you, but it's just there, either forcing them to drop the resolve from you and tap out, or use the skills on their secret rare. And if you do still have it and you tack into it and they then remove by anything else, then when it's gone by sent by a skill from the battle area, you then get to next something like blank something else as well, which is quite nice. I play 2 copies of that because you normally want to try and see at least one against U3, U7 to deal with the Vegeta. The aim of every copy is cooler, just in case you get against anything like a mill deck where you just want to push through, or like Oceanus, you just want to push through. You want to make sure you stop them from coming down, stop hitting the board, just keep pushing through to make sure you can try and kill them so they can't hinder you with the floodgates. And then we have Son Goku Absolute Annihilation. This is in there like for most yellow decks to deal with any deck that has a high reliance on extra cards. And it's got Barrier Deflect, which is 2 skill that should be on any card, and Unique, which is like it's not gonna be stopped from coming down and hard to get rid of. And it's got a nice permanent where if your leader card is yellow, your opponent can't activate extra cards unless they switch 1 in energy to rest mode. So if your opponent's tapped out and you got D Magic and you play this, you know they're not dropping they're not be able to use D Magic, so tapped out. And a lot of these cards can be switched out by just replacing like things like Basal or some extra cards in it and stuff to put them in. And then we have the like the Overwhelm tech, which is you can switch out the mirror for this Bardock, and this one Bardock is basically there to deal with any deck that has a high use of 6 cost and more battle cards that they play a lot. So things like Sin, potentially U7 if they get later into the game, Android 16, things like that. And get rid of the battle cards for free by just warping them, and then have a 25k swing as well. Then for the last few cards we have extra cards, being Tyrannical Blow, being like a little Bloodlust for yellow decks for 3 cost or less. And it's nice because if the battle card being played as an energy cost of 3 or less, it's played with skills negate for the turn, then you also get benefit where you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards or unison cards and negate its skills for the turn. So that could be quite handy there. And basically negating something that's coming down as 3 or less, and then negating their skills. So if you're attacking against say a deck that's got like Boo Unison, and they go to like say like in Gamma, they go to like Floodgate Negate with the end of 14, you can then counterplay it to make it come in with those skills in your Floodgate, and then choose the Boo Unison to potentially just go no skills for you during this turn. So you can't block or bottom deck anything, which is quite nice. And then extra cost for Final Flash, because just in case you feel 2 is enough, you've got a 3rd one on your side to help with the Barrier Ignorance. And that is the entire deck. That is the, well, this is not the exact deck I played on the Webcam Locals, because I corrected it afterwards. Like the only differences was instead of these 2 Basals, it was 2 Steadfast, and instead of this 1 Piccolo and its 3rd copy weight on the shoulders, it was 2 of the yellow, the green Barrier Removal 4-drop Piccolo from the set 14 I was playing in there as well. And then in the side deck I wasn't playing this Piccolo, which I wish I was now, or this Absolute Annihilation Goku. But yeah, that isn't my list. I feel it's very strong. Like you can watch my stream. That was back on Wednesday. Not back on Wednesday. Back on Monday that I posted, where you can see my games of me playing the Yellow Piccolo and having fun. Well, learning to play in the first game and then having fun for the other games. If you want to check it out. But that is it for me. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope if you're much fan of Piccolo, if you're much of a fan of Piccolo as I am, you give it a try. And if you're just a fan of Yellow, give it a try as well. It feels like a very strong and fun deck. But that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.